1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Diane Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show.
Diane, I got high on mushrooms on Saturday. Real high on mushrooms, like lots and lots of high. I went to the dark side of the moon and I'm back with the wisdom.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not great wisdom. It was just like, first of all, like here's the if you're gonna go do mushrooms in a hotel, bring your own towel. Bring your own towel. It's just weird. It feels weird to use foreign towels when you're high.
I love hotel towels, though.
Yeah, me too. Usually, it was a nice one. It was a nice one. I wasn't doing drugs in a Motel 6. I'm not 25 anymore.
Okay.
No, it was like, I don't know. I haven't. What was the last time that you did hallucinogenic drugs?
Okay. I've done drugs that make you hallucinate, but if you don't take enough of it, you don't hallucinate. You just feel good. Like I did some mushrooms recently, but I did a microdose. And so I wasn't like visualizing. But the last time I had like full kind of visualizations had to be, I was with my ex. So 17 years ago.
Good God, that's way too long. You need to look inside yourself.
Do I right now?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
It's important. Like, I don't mean to sound like too much of a hippie about it, but what was really refreshing to me was because I've been going through some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was nice to like look deep inside myself and realize there's nothing real horrible in here.
Okay, good. That's very positive.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. It was just nice. Like, it's okay. It's all right. Everything's gonna be fine, man. Everything's gonna be fine, man. It'll be okay.
What I always wonder about, like, people that do mushrooms and they always feel that way and they feel so present and so close with everybody. And I'm always like, okay, can you make that transition into your sober life? Do you only feel that way when you're on the mushrooms, and can you sustain it when you're sober? Because that's the goal. I would have to be. You can't just live on mushrooms, you know?
Yeah, I really do. And mushrooms, I think, are unique. Like I did acid when I was a kid, and that was fake.
That was
you know what I
not
mean? Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun, but it was like, it's not something that you can't take it with you, you know. But with mushrooms, like, you really can, or at least, or I can, you know, and people that I've talked to can. That you once you've sort of seen that other side and you've seen that perspective, then you can carry it with you. You can go, like, it's impossible to describe without going full on hippie, man.
Yeah.
But it is really nice just to go, okay, like, there's other ways to approach your life and other ways to approach your mind. That's mind expanding. I highly recommend them.
Yes.
Anyone.
Yeah. We've
any situation. Sorry, I want to be an irresponsible podcaster. That's my goal. I want to spread misinformation and lead people down a dark path. That's my goal from now on.
All right, Rock the Cash Bar is taking a turn. We're the new misinformation podcast. Scooch over, dude.
Move over, Joe. Man, I'm looking forward to this. This was we've done 105 or something like that episodes. And this was maybe the one that was kind of the most eye-opening to me and the most pleasant, because we're doing an episode on Dolly Parton today. And obviously, like, I've always, look at that.
Love her.
Obviously, like, I've always known who Dolly Parton is. I've always known that she's this incredibly beautiful, you know, country western singer. I was never really into country music, but I'd never spent a whole lot of time dealing with her and reckoning with her and I hate to say it, but treating her as a person. Like, she was always a caricature to me. Like, when
it's so funny you say that. There's this great interview that she has, I don't even remember what year it was, where someone asked her why she always looks so good, and she's like, oh honey, cartoons don't age.
Yeah. She has so many great lines about that. How do you always look so good? Well, good lighting, good photographers, and good doctors.
Very honest.
She's just a delight. Like, I think like I watched a lot of documentaries, a lot of YouTube stuff, and I read a lot of articles about her. And I guess I kept expecting to find like the me monster diva that you'd expect a little bit. You know, you'd expect a little bit of the. It's just not there. It just doesn't exist in her. She's just a sweetheart. Like that's all she is 100% of the time. And there's no doubt that she has to force it. You know, I worked with a guy who was just one of the most pleasant people I've ever been around, and I'm not the most pleasant person to be around. So like I asked him one night, you know, it's just like do you make an effort to do this? Like, do you find yourself like, of course I do. Like I absolutely do. And I hate to admit it, but I was in my mid-30s when I had that conversation. And that was like the first time that I said like, okay, I guess I need to start making that decision. Like I need to decide to start being pleasant and happy and
to be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I really respond to people who can do that. And Dolly Parton is you just can't say enough about it. She's just a treasure.
Things that shape a person, and you know, we'll talk about it once we get into it. But like, you know, her very, very humble upbringing, and you know how wildly poor they were, and you know, living in a shack, and she's one of 12 siblings, and they didn't have toys, and they had to make up their own entertainment. That shapes a person. It humbles a person.
You don't have to prove your country bona fides when you're from Locust Ridge.
Yeah, when you live in a shack.
I'm from Locust Ridge. Like, okay, this woman has multiple squirrel recipes. Multiple. I can cook that up. I can cook that up for you. It's gonna be nice. So we're gonna do Jolene because we're talking about Dolly Parton, then you damn well have to talk about Jolene.
Yeah.
It's an easy joke to make, but it's my favorite joke. Can you imagine what kind of smoke show Jolene must have been if she's stealing Dolly Parton's man?
Every single person from the minute this song dropped was like, what does Jolene look like? And she explains it. She explains it in the lyrics, what she looks like. And the only thing I can think of when I'm listening to the description, I was like, well, she was Jessica Rabbit. That's how hot this woman had to be for Dolly to be insecure.
To put the fear of that into Dolly's heart is really something else. I also like how Jolene is like the exact opposite of Dolly. You know what I mean? Like a red-haired, green-eyed woman could easily be running. Oh, here comes the curvy blonde with the blue eyes and the soft-shelled Southern accent.
Right. Yeah, you have to imagine Jolene's like, what? What are you talking about?
Also, like the guy in the song has to be like I just, can you imagine being that torn? Like you can be, it's Jolene or Dolly. Like, decisions.
Ladies, why can't we all be together?
Exactly. There's enough of me to go around, man.
I used to have this joke about like polyamory, which we talked about a few episodes back, but how it just makes, I can't believe more women aren't on board. It just makes sense because when you think about it, when we were all little, we had like 20 Barbies and one Ken. And we preferred it that way. And like my Barbies were walking around that little Barbie mansion I had just naked and wrecked all day. And one Ken enjoying it.
Everybody knows the lyrics to Jolene. Let's do it anyway.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can.
Jolene, 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 Jolene. I have a terrible singing voice. Good God. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take him just because you can.
Because you can.
Yeah. You ever had that kind of female jealousy? I know I have. I've definitely felt like, I hate that insecurity. I don't like that feeling at all.
I think that's going to be the hot topic of this whole thing. I mean, we can talk about the history of Dolly and we can talk about the true stories behind the song, but the core of this song is facing your insecurities, and no matter what you look like and who you are, we all have them.
And it's also, it's not it's never, in the end, it's really not about the competition. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's more about like looking at your partner, looking at the person that you're with, and realizing that there's somebody else that makes them happy.
And she talks about it at the core. It's not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
And you look at Dolly and like, you don't think you're good enough, but it happens. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you can't allow yourself to get that deflated, but clearly it's going to happen to you.
Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene.
Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Yeah. Like it.
Jessica
Your
Rabbit.
smile is like a breath of spring. Your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. I just love that your voice is soft like summer rain.
She's lavishing this woman with compliments. Like, she's probably saying things to her nicer than like a man who's in love with her would say.
Yeah.
This is coming from the jealous woman.
Yeah. It's like it's the sisterhood. It's the support. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Are you still there? Sorry, I went away for a second. This is the heartbreaking part. He talks about you in his sleep. There's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene.
Oh, this makes me just want to shove him off the bed onto the floor. Wake up.
Yes. I've never done that, nor have I been laying next to somebody who has done that. And I can't imagine how heartbreaking that must be. Like, I've heard stories of it. I did once accidentally call a girl by my ex-girlfriend's name years and years ago. That was really tough. And I totally, I don't know how to explain it, but like, because obviously we ended up having like a tearful argument about the whole thing. And this was no explanation. And she brought it up months later when we were arguing again, but I was trying to tell her, I was just like, look, that was my most important relationship. I think I called you by her name because you've kind of taken that place in my life now. And I just made that mistake. You know, it's not that I'm thinking about her. It's not that I wish you were her. It's just that you occupy that place in my mind and in my heart now.
Yeah. Which
looking back on it, like, it's both true and some real dude bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I've had 3 major relationships, and the second one I was with, I called him by my first boyfriend's name. But what's funny is they both had the same name. Named Eric. And I was like, damn it, Eric. But I was mad at like how he used to be mad at the first Eric. And then I was like, damn it, Eric. I mean, sorry. No, yeah, that's right.
That keeps it easy. Like, I only date Erics, just Erics.
So I won't go too into detail on this story, not to embarrass the shit out of Corbin, but trying to see how I can frame this. One time he was very, very inebriated and we were being intimate, and in the middle of it, he looked at me and goes, "Don't tell Diane." And I was like, who am I right now? And then he got kind of confused, and then he's like, "Shut up, Diane." And I was like, I just busted you cheating on me with me.
He'd gone someplace fun in his head.
I guess so. I'll never know who I was in that moment.
You were his fantasy woman. He was just locked in. I think that's a good thing.
I guess we'll go with that.
And I can easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. It goes into the chorus again. Yes. You could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. He's the only one for me, Jolene. I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you and whatever you decide to do, Jolene. Yikes.
That's like, you just realize I have no say in this. If you want to take him, you could, and I just have to beg you not to.
Yeah, I don't think that I could ever be quite so is giving the right word, like having that like a conversation like that, like I need you to stay away from my lady. Like it's never going to be, you know,
Yeah.
like between men, it's always going to be jealous and anger and bitterness and everything like that. But like, could you imagine like sitting down and having a cup of coffee with Jolene and just saying like, I need you to stop smiling at him like that.
I'm gonna need you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so this song is the polar opposite of Loretta Lynn's Fifth City. Like, I don't know if you know that song. Where she's like,
I think I get it.
yeah, she's just basically like, women like you are a dime a dozen. You can buy them anywhere. I mean, I might be confusing it with another song she has. For you to get to him, I'd have to move over, but I'm gonna stand. Oh no, that's a different one. But she's got a couple of songs, and basically she's like, bitch, get off my man, I'll beat your ass. And Dolly's like, I'm gonna have a sympathetic Dolly talk with you. I think Dolly's way works. Like, women are sentimental, and like, if she's just like, please, you can have anyone else, please, like, we'd be like, okay. But if some girl like just like in my face, like, bitch, I'll kick your ass, I'm like, well, I'm gonna fuck your man now. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm guessing if I'm this trashy woman, you know, who's flirting with a married man, I mean, yeah. So I think Dolly's way works. You got to use sugar.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is so the true story behind this song, I think, is pretty well known. Dolly has been married for probably, I think it's 60 years now, right? To a fellow named Curtis Dean, who is famously elusive. Like, he just doesn't want to be in the spotlight. Like he doesn't walk.
I thought it was
Carl Dean, yeah. So he doesn't like walk the red carpet with her or appear in public or anything like that. Like, he kind of like stays very silently. Like Dolly sort of famously says, like, he likes staying home and I like staying gone.
the confidence on this man not to be like, my woman, you know.
Exactly. He must have some real swagger to him. But apparently Jolene was a bank teller. And Carl has he had a paving and an asphalt business. So obviously he had, you know, business accounts and things like that. They had lots of time, lots of reasons to be going to the bank.
Yeah.
But Dolly realized, like, there's another reason why you're going to the bank. Like, there's this attractive bank teller who's paying him all kinds of attention. So it became like a joke between the two of them, you know, because I'm sure, like, obviously Dolly Parton is Dolly Parton. She gets a lot of male attention. The male gaze tends to settle on Dolly Parton for reasons that have been explored on bathroom walls and in horrible humor for her entire life. But so it became like a joke between the two of them. It's just like okay, like, oh, you're going to the bank because you like that attractive bank teller, don't you? Yeah. So they ended up, you know, writing this cute song about it. Like, it doesn't sound like it was, the truth of the song doesn't sound like it was quite as dramatic or as lovelorn or as soap opera-y. Like, it definitely seems like it was a couple understanding that, you know, we're two attractive people and we have to mitigate that. We make a decision to stay with each other and a decision to be in love with each other every day. And they started making a joke about it. But also the other side of it is apparently, famously, Dolly was performing a show, and in the audience there was a beautiful girl, like a young girl, like 7 or 8 years old, who, you know, Dolly said, "Oh, you're just the most beautiful child. What's your name?" And she said, "Jolene." And Dolly said, "Jolene, that's a lovely name. I'm going to write a song about you." Yeah. So that's where the name comes from, which is just adorable.
In that book that I showed you, she goes into a little more detail where she was like, that's a beautiful name. I bet you're named after your daddy. Is his name Joe? And she's like, no, it's just Jolene. And she said, well, I love that name. And if you ever hear a song with it, you'll know that it's about you. And then she said she wanted to make sure she remembered the name because it's not a common name. So she said, to remember it, I went Jolene, 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 Jolene until I could get back to the bus to write it down. And which is, then she was just like, well, that's how I remembered it. So that's how I'm going to start the song, which I was like, that's really cool. Just the way you're like, don't forget, say it over and over and over. And then you're just like, well, hold on, that works. Jolene, Jolene. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's just really adorable. So yeah, when she got to her bus, she was like, trying to figure out who Jolene is. And she's like, let's write about a song that women can relate to. And then she thought about her bank lady. Gorgeous, comes together beautifully.
I like the way Dolly writes. Like, she's a singer-songwriter. That's what she does, and it's what she does all day. You know, she's written like well over 3,000 songs. Like, she's not she's not somebody who sits around waiting for the muse to move her. You know what I mean? Like, she's not like, okay, you just like, I'm going to write a song about Jolene. Like, that's a great name. It's a great sound. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Here we go. That's a song.
Yeah.
She doesn't get all like temperamental artisty about it. Like not finicky. Like, I am writing a song. You know, she wrote 9 to 5 on her fingernails.
No. What?
She wrote the song on her fingernails like a washboard. Like, if you listen to the guitar lick of 9 to 5, like, it's entirely like that. Like, she literally just didn't have an instrument around, so she just wrote it on her fingernails.
All this goes back to what, so that book that if you're watching on YouTube, I pulled up this book, and here, I'll just tell you what it's called. If people are interested, it's wonderful. It's Dolly Parton, My Life in Lyrics. Or it's called Song Teller, My Life in Lyrics. And she goes through every single song she's ever written, and it's great photos. We'll show pictures of, like, you know, the handwritten lyrics and tell stories behind each one. But, you know, she talks about, like, growing up, you know, how I said they were super poor and they had to come up with their own entertainment. And so she just had this, like, wildly active imagination of coming up with stories and being a storyteller. And then she just had this uncanny ability to rhyme really well from a young age. So obviously she had a great understanding of the English language as well. And it just shows in really good songwriters that, you know, they weren't just at home watching video games their whole life. Like, they were thinkers, and they, you know, were creative and imaginative, and they knew how to just kind of put these things together quickly in good storytelling.
They're actually doing the work. And speaking of, like, putting together quickly, did you know that she wrote I Will Always Love You and Jolene on the same day?
Same damn day.
The same day.
So, from that book, this is exactly from her mouth. This is what she says about that. It's possible that Jolene and I Will Always Love You were written on the same day. When we were going through my old tapes to put songs on hard drives, we found that I Will Always Love You and Jolene were on the same cassette tape back to back. I don't know. I may have written Jolene later that night. When you write so much, you lose track of time, and I wrote so much back then, so it had to have been written during the same time frame. Otherwise, I would have gone to another cassette, or there would have been other things on it. It very well could have been the same day.
Yeah, certainly sounds like they were.
Biggest hits.
Definitely.
Her biggest hits. So just,
that is crazy. Can you, like, there's like Satisfaction and Jumpin' Jack Flash were not written on the same day. Yeah, they just
no. What were you saying? Like, last time there was some artist that took like a full year to write one song, where Dolly just like, I'm just spitting these things out.
Yeah, it was Leonard Cohen. Took years to write Hallelujah. Years. Apparently there's like 27 different verses to that song.
Yeah.
Years. And she just popped out. Like, Jolene and I Will Always Love You are like echoing through human craniums for generations. Like, they're just like, everyone knows those songs. Like, everyone has formed feelings and attachments to those songs, and she wrote them on the same day. Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
It reminds me of, like, okay, so I mean, obviously Hallelujah worked out for Leonard Cohen, but did he wrote it? I think about how many people covered it, and sometimes I get confused on that. He wrote it. So, okay, I'll just give like a brief example of like the creative process that I always found interesting, because I went to college was a graphic designer, and sometimes you would just struggle over, like, you know, you're working on one logo and you just can't get there. The pieces aren't coming together. And there was this like great book that we read on the creative process where this professor gave their students like, I want you to go home tonight and come up with your 3 best logos. Everybody came back the next day with 3, and they were all shit. Like, no one did a good job. Everybody struggled. And he was like, all right, over your lunch break, you're going to give me 50. And they did it. They had like an hour. And what happens when you do that is you stop overthinking the details of every single one, and you just start spitting shit out. And what happens, you start getting the bad ideas out of the way. You see it, you go next. You see it, you go next. And then once you start getting into the 30s and 40s, like, you get something good. And that's exactly what happened. They all came back with good logos, like good things after they got through the 50. And it's crazy, but like, it seems like her process is just like always moving and always writing. And she got so good at it that like everything started becoming good. And she started trusting her instincts, you know, or maybe she always trusted her instincts.
I think she always had that confidence, but I also think that you become a professional when you're under that kind of pressure. You know, I always think about like the writers' rooms on like late night TV shows. Like when you and I were doing comedy, you have to like, okay, you want to have, you know, new jokes every Monday, you know, for open mic. But it was so difficult to do. And I'd get really intimidated because I think to myself, like, you know, if a miracle happens and I land a job, like Letterman wants 15 monologue jokes and a desk segment every fucking day.
Yeah.
Every day. Like,
I mean, you just have to be constantly writing.
It's crazy to think about. Like, it's just like the level that you have to get to be a professional on that is madness to me. Have you ever been to Dollywood?
Yes, I went this past summer.
Did you? How was it? I want to go real bad.
Oh my gosh, Ben. Okay, so growing up in Houston, where we had a big theme park, we had Astroworld, but it's Houston, it's hot, it's flat. And when it was hot, and there was nowhere to hide from it. Dollywood is so gorgeous. I cannot explain it. We went in like June and it's in the mountains, in these rolling mountains. And like you can be, so when you're in Astroworld, there's no way you're going to be standing 50 feet away from a roller coaster and not see it because everything's so flat. You could be like next to a massive roller coaster and not even know it's there because you have to go around this hill and this curve and this mountain to see it. And the entire place, like, I don't know how much money they put into the groundskeeping, but just flowers and plants and beautiful stuff everywhere you look. They have a replica of the house that she grew up in, her little shack there that you can't go inside, but you walk up this, like, you know, not plank, but this little boardwalk thing, and you look through the glass. And I mean, I'm like, how you fit 2 adults and 12 kids in that, I'll never understand. It's like this 2-room shack, but it was lovely. It was a dream come true. And I was like, I understand why this is such a destination, because it's just the most beautiful little theme park I've ever seen.
Yeah, I want to go really badly. I really want to go see that. Maybe I will this summer.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of like shows, and then there's this craftsman's village where like you can come here and learn like blacksmithing. You can come here and learn how to make cinnamon bread. You can go here and it's like all these people's like trades who live in like the Tennessee mountains and stuff. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and it's like it's in a weird, like, it's a celebration of a kind of a part of American culture that usually gets shit on. Like, it's nice to see somebody who's from like where I'm from is way more similar to the Smoky Mountains than the Sunset Strip. But for whatever, because I'm not American, you know, like I feel like I'm left out of that part of the culture. Like, they don't want me around. Like, I'm a different kind of country. I just don't have that same background. Like, I always
we just don't know shit about Canadian country. Like, I don't know what it is with Americans. We're so ego obsessed. I think we know a little bit more about Mexico because we like guacamole and margaritas. We don't know shit about Canada.
Yeah, you don't need to. You get it.
We know you guys are polite and you have maple syrup and you like hockey. Like, that's it. That's all I got.
My favorite, I saw a comedian who was from like a town even further north than where I was from, called Fort McMurray. And he had a great joke about it. It's a great joke for any kind of town. He just goes, if you've never been to Fort McMurray, you just need to know 2 things: what you're looking at and what your problem is, because they're definitely going to ask you.
That's good.
I really, really like that one. But
that's really funny.
Sorry. 9 to 5 is fascinating. Like, the making of that movie, how it was made is, well, you have the song too, but so it's Jane Fonda's movie. It was made by Jane. She was the producer, and I read a whole bunch of contemporary movie reviews about 9 to 5, and they're all like very focused on Dolly. Like, Roger Ebert wrote a review of it. He's just absolutely effusive of his praise. I mean, it's Dolly Parton's debut movie. And Roger Ebert wrote, "What's involved here is probably something other than acting," in quotes. "It has to do with what Bernard Shaw called the life force, that dynamo of energy that some people seem to possess so bountifully. Dolly Parton on the screen simply seems to be having a great time, ready to sweep everyone up in her enthusiasm, her concern, her energy, and it's some show." Like, and that's absolutely, you know, the way that she seems to have lived her life. But, and maybe I'm a child of my own times, but the idea of Dolly Parton, country princess, doing her debut movie with Hanoi Jane, Like, I really thought that there would be some kind of blowback, and maybe there was, but they just didn't. Like, I couldn't find anything written about
No.
that at the time. But it was really surprising to me.
Was Jane already, people already hated her for that? Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know my timeline if 9 to 5 was
Yeah.
before or after that.
Yeah, this was probably like peak fuck Jane Fonda.
Okay.
Like, this was 1980, and I think she went to Vietnam in the 70s. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right. So yeah, this definitely would have been like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of surprising, like obviously that's a real risk that Dolly was taking. Like, there's no doubt that even if I can't find, contemporary evidence of it, it must be there. Like, this stuff is just baked into
that
our
makes you
bread in
wonder
America.
if Dolly, if someone else had been cast as Dolly, you wouldn't have had the song. That movie would have tanked. I mean, not tanked, but it would not be what it is today, especially without the song.
Yep, it can't be. It was apparently, it was the screenwriter was a woman named Patricia Resnick, and her story is kind of fascinating because she wrote 9 to 5 about women working in the workplace, and it's alarming. Like you watch the movie today and you realize that some of the issues that they're like, not just equal pay, but childcare and like how you live your life, like how you allow somebody to raise a family and also work, are issues that 40 years later we still haven't done shit about. Like, it's fucking crazy how hard it is to get childcare in America. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. So Patricia Resnick writes this movie, and it was Jane Fonda was inspired by a woman named Karen Nussbaum, who ran a program called 9 to 5, and it was advocating for women in the workforce for things like equal pay and childcare. So Jane Fonda hired Patricia Resnick to write this movie. Patricia Resnick had worked for Robert Altman, who is obviously a great film director, but he's also like a very collaborative film director. So he would have his screenwriters on the set consulting with the actors. Like, if the actors had questions about the character or motivations or any of that actorly stuff, then the screenwriter was there to help them. And so Patricia Resnick figured that that's just the way that movies work. So she starts working on 9 to 5. She writes it. It was a much darker comedy the way that she'd originally written it. But the director, a man named Colin Higgins, brought her in and said, you can't come to the set. Like, you can come to the set once at lunch, but there's only one director on a film set, and that's me. I don't want the cast coming to you with questions. I don't want you collaborating on this at all. So he made changes to the script and changes to basically just like the woman who'd written 9 to 5 about women in the workplace, women's liberation, and all of it, basically had the project taken from her by a mansplaining dude. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's funny though. The point still gets across, and they torture this dude. And I mean, I love the movie. I haven't seen it in years, but I've always loved that movie.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun for sure.
What's funny is that she was also in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, right? Like, she was and then, but like, I think maybe the first movie that I just really, really remember her in was Steel Magnolias, and that whole cast is so good. That's such a perfect movie. It's one of those movies that everyone deems a chick flick because it's that perfect movie where you go from crying to laughing in a millisecond, and it's that great emotion. And these women, the actors in that movie, are so good. But Corbin sat down and watched it with me a few years ago, and he's like, this movie is hysterical. Like,
it really is.
What's the guy, Tom Skerritt is so funny in it. He's just such a good character. I mean, just all around, it's the best movie, and Dolly's great in it.
Sam Shepard is a legend. He plays Dolly's husband in that movie.
Yes.
He's got like 7 lines, and they like you say, they say it's a chick flick, but Sam Shepard, like, I'm a dude, like, he steals that movie from me. Just with that scene, like when Julia Roberts dies and Sally Field has her meltdown, like obviously those are tear-jerking scenes, but the one that makes me choke up is when Sam Shepard shows up in his tie after basically ignoring Dolly through the whole movie. He just shows up and just says, I just feel so bad for Jefferson. Like, he just goes, if something like that was to happen to you, and he just leaves it there. It's like, that just
I'm gonna cry now. Oh, so good.
That's just amazing. And of course, just classic lines. If you haven't got anything nice to say, come sit
Come
next to me.
sit by me. Oh my
Yeah.
God, so good. Such a good movie. I'm gonna go watch it again.
Yep.
So I have to mention, because we are still in the pandemic, we have to talk about how Dolly Parton helped fund the vaccine research with $1 million donation to Vanderbilt University Medical Center. And when she got her shot and she got her vaccine on March 2nd, 2021, she adapted Jolene into a pro-vaccine song, and the lyrics were vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. Once you're dead, it's a bit too late. And she went to her social media channel saying, I want to say to all you cowards out there, don't be such a chicken squat. Go out there and get your shot.
Cowards. Like, pulling no punches.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and she's in the country music scene, and, not to be like this, but, we get separated into, a lot of like country music South is for some reason considered conservative, which for some reason was considered anti-vaccine. Like everybody kept putting things in these baskets that didn't belong. Like, stop grouping people like this.
Exactly.
It was annoying. And another thing I want to say about her, because we have to talk about it, is that recently it was her husband's birthday, and she dressed up for him, like that in that little Playboy outfit. And they had asked her something about like, what keeps their marriage strong, and she said, I always dress up for him. She was like, it's the world gets to see me in full makeup, hair, glamour. She was like, he shouldn't have to see me as like some schlump. And so she was like, I dress up for him all the time. Like full makeup. She makes herself look pretty for him all the time, because she's like, he deserves it, because everybody else gets to see me like that. And I was like, God damn it, Dolly. I don't have to step up my game.
I think that works for some people, but like the women that I've had the fortune to live with and be intimate with, I always like when they're in their pajama pants and their t-shirt, because it's always like I really enjoy, like, I'm the guy who gets to see you like this. Like I'm the guy who gets to see that you're this comfortable around, that that you let the mask down around. Like it always, I always feel like I've had 3 important relationships in my life, and that was always a turning point. When like, okay, when there isn't makeup anymore, when we're not trying, it's like, okay, we are just going to sit here and live together and be ourselves together. It's always like a real
let's have our sloppy ponytails and morning breath.
Exactly.
That's intimacy.
Exactly.
All right, is it time to see how Jeremy Essig connects Dolly to tinted windows?
Yes, it is.
All right, let's do it.
Hey friends, welcome to another edition of 6 Degrees, where this week we're going to connect tinted windows with the legendary Dolly Parton. And while her illustrious music career has yielded a number of collaborative avenues for us to pursue, that would of course ignore her legendary duet with Sylvester Stallone in 1984's Rhinestone. No stranger to collaborations himself, Stallone would go on to curate the greatest action star grouping ever with The Expendables, the second of which would feature Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean Villain a year before we'd star in Enemies Closer with Tom Everett Scott, possibly better known as Styx to fans of the wonders in That Thing You Do. The music for the mispronounced Oneaters was written by the late Adam Schlesinger years before he would play bass in Tinted Windows. So this week we went Dolly Parton to Rhinestone, to The Expendables, to The Wonders, to Adam Schlesinger, and to Tinted Windows. Back to Diane in bed.
I don't know how he does it.
I forgot all about Rhinestone, which I was like, I thought the movie was called Rhinestone Cowboy, but I'm like, that's the song. Yeah, that's a really funny movie. And I just remember like one line of it where, the guy was so nervous to go on stage for the first time. He's like, what did you do the first time? And she was like, I threw up. Yeah, you just do it. Now there's so many movies I have to go watch again. I have to go watch 9 to 5 again. I have to watch Steel Magnolias for the 5,000th time. And I need to go back and watch that movie. Rhinestone.
Watch Rhinestone again. Sylvester Stallone once gave me the varsity hi-hat.
What?
I was working on a boxing show we talked about a couple of weeks ago called The Contender, and he was the host of it. So I was on the set one day, and I opened the door, and Sylvester Stallone was coming through the door, and so we did clipped me with the shoulder, gave me the the walking by, get out of my coat.
Oh, whoa. Is he short? He's kind of short, isn't he? I didn't think you guys were shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, we're not shoulder to shoulder. No, no, absolutely not. But he's short, but he's big. Like he's a big dude. He's 5'7" and I think he's 5'7" wide. Like he's the most broad-shouldered person I think I have ever seen.
Got it.
That is in fact Rocky. I just got knocked out of the way by Rocky.
My ribs are bruised from Rocky. Ouchie.
Yikes.
Is that it? Is that Dolly? Is that Jolene? I just feel like we could do. I mean, I have this book. I'm like, let's do all her songs, but no, we can't do that. We'll come back. I'm sure we'll do another Dolly.
She's just so charming. Like I don't know that I've ever I spent a week researching her and thinking about her and talking about. I don't think I've ever like. There's male celebrities that I look up to and admire and try to steal parts of their soul and graft them onto my personality. I don't think I've ever done that with a female celebrity before. Right. And I think if I could steal anything from Dolly, it would just be that optimism. That like she doesn't pull focus; she just creates fun.
Yeah.
Like you'd think somebody with like that big hair and the wigs and all the rhinestones and everything like that, you would think that she would just be just like, it's all about me. Right. It's not. She's just like, no, this is what I like to do. This is what makes me feel good. And when I feel good, I can make other people feel good.
I cannot, and she's a human being, so it has to happen. I cannot fathom her having a bad day or what her reaction is to a bad day.
Yeah, I think she grew up, one of the saddest stories, so she's got 12 siblings and they're all musical too. I didn't realize that, but like her sister is a singer who actually, not like Dolly impersonator or anything like that, but she does, she makes her money basically off of being, Dolly's sister. She had another sister who starred in the TV show 9 to 5 in the Dolly Parton role. Her brother is also, one of her brothers is also a singer. Her uncle is the one who got her sort of started in music and brought her to Nashville. She moved to Nashville the day she graduated high school. Yeah. Like she got out of high school and got on the bus. Wow. But you talk about her having a bad day. I don't think she's had some bad days. You grow up in a one-room shack with 12 siblings, you're going to have some bad days. She was, I think, the fourth. I think she's the fourth in her family.
I didn't even look at that order. Okay.
Yeah. So by that time she was, when you were raising 12 kids in a shack, then you expect the older siblings to help out with the younger ones. I'm the second oldest in my family, so I helped out. I know a little bit about it. I changed diapers and things like that when I was real young. But they basically were like assigning, Dolly was basically given an infant, her little brother when she was very young, when she was just a kid herself, like 8 or 9 years old. It was just like, okay, this is your baby. Like you're going to be responsible for caring for Larry was his name. And he passed away. He passed away when I think he was only like 5 or 6 days old. Oh. Yeah, I mean, so like it's terrifying.
She should be wrecked. She should be a broken person, but she's not.
That somehow she keeps it together. Like there's a level of strength that comes from that level of hardship that I don't think that you and I will ever be able to fully understand.
No, and like I said, like last week, like I don't know. I mean, and there's not a competition. Like everyone loved Betty White and everyone loves Dolly because she never gave you a reason not to. I think even people who like vehemently disagree with like maybe her vaccine stance or whatever, like you just can't hate her. You can't be like, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to listen to your music anymore. It's just not going to happen with her.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a certain kind, like I tried to be an entertainer, but I came at it in a different way. Like I think somebody like Dolly is just like, I just want to entertain you. Like I want to make you feel good. I wanted to do it because like I wanted to challenge you. I wanted to make you think, I wanted to like, I had some truths that you needed to know, damn it. Like which is just, it's a dumb way to approach it. But I think somebody like Dolly is just very, very genuinely just like, I like to see the smile on your face. Like I like to see you.
I want to tell you my stories. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have this infectious energy and I'm going to infect you with it. Like it's I don't know. I want to be more like that. Like I really, that's my vow. I'm going to be more like Dolly going forward.
I have an idea for you. I learned about this in therapy. There's this thing that you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to write your obituary, like your own obituary, like what you would like people to say about you when you die. But then you go back and you write who you actually are. And then you try to bring the two together. Like the way you think you actually are, but the way you think you would wish people would remember you. And then you work towards being that person that you want people to remember you as.
Right.
And I was just like thinking about Dolly in this situation where she's probably like, no, yeah, that's all those nice things that people said. That's what I was doing. I don't think she has this separate storyline and was trying to work towards that, like better obituary.
Write your own obituary.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. All right, that's the writing assignment. We'll see you next week. Write your obituaries, folks.
Yes, you guys do it. Tell us about it. Tell me what you find out about yourself. Ben, next week, I'm going to let you tell us what's happening. Tell us about your friend coming on the podcast.
we got the rock and roll nightmare himself swinging by the podcast. We have Josh Wolf, who is a punk rock singer par excellence. The man is a ball of energy. There's plenty of YouTube videos that you can see. He literally has rock and roll nightmare tattooed right across his whole chest, which is frequently bleeding. One of my favorite quotes comes from him, and he goes, "I hate music, but I love noise."
So not to be confused, if you Google him, there's also a comedian. We always have comedian guests on the show. It's not comedian Josh Wolf. It's punk rocker Josh Wolf.
Yeah, it's unmistakable. The difference between the two Josh Wolves is stark.
And he has a song he wants to kind of talk about. Or are we doing a regular, like, are we going to go through lyrics of a song, or are we just is this going to be the Josh Wolf show?
It's going to be the Josh Wolf show. And we're going to go through lyrics of the song for sure. He's picked a song. Needless to say, it's from a punk rock outfit that I've never heard of. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, we're having this will be, so we had Henry Phillips on. This is our second rock star, right?
Yeah. Well, we had Freddie Morales on, who does the Depeche Mode cover band, but he's great. And he's retiring. He's about to do a retirement tour and then be done, which I want to go see him. And then we have my friend Michelle from Blushing. But I love having an actual musician on the show.
And we had the Pete from Dire Straits UK was on as well.
That's
so
right.
this is going to be a fun one. But I'm looking forward to this because like I've seen Josh perform a couple of times, and I'm an old man. He's a little bit younger than us, but not by much. But he just still, like, the energy that he brings to a room and just the sheer fearlessness. Like, this guy has been hit with beer bottles and it shows.
Oh gosh.
It's gonna be fun.
Stark contrast to Dolly. Can you imagine someone throwing a beer bottle at Dolly? Oh my God. That's when
You'd be murdered.
Yeah, everybody would murder him, and then Carl would just come out of nowhere and probably kill him. All right.
Yeah, Carl would definitely bury you under the driveway. Like, I have these asphalt trucks for a reason. I will pave over your dumbass.
What if he's a scary motherfucker?
Oh, he's got to be. Like, I think, I mean, he's Dolly Parton's husband. Like, you got to think that nobody will do the strong silent type quite as well as Carl Dean must, right? Like, that's my vision of the guy. Is just a rock.
And she's like, "That's my rock." That's awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. What an intriguing man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we did it. Till next week, you guys.
And roll.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Diane Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.